Welcome back to Everyday Eats with Michelle. Now I know it's been a little bit since our last video, so let's just get right into it. Today I'm going to show you how to make braciole. The absolute first thing I ever attempted to make. Was homesick from work one day, just channel surfing. Ended up finding the Food Network, which is not something I watched at the time. Saw this being made and thought, oh my god, that looks ridiculously good. I didn't have any kitchen equipment at the time, didn't know anything about wine, and it still turned out really good. So if you're new to cooking, don't worry, you can do it too. Let's try to make our filling. I've got half cup of Italian breadcrumbs, 2 cloves of garlic minced, 2/3 cup of Romano cheese, 1/3 cup provolone, and 2 tablespoons of chopped up Italian parsley leaves. Get all that combined together in a bowl, set that aside. We're going to do a little something extra to it in just a minute, but now let's look at that steak. 1.5 pounds of flank steak, or as close to that as you can get it. It's a tougher meat. You're gonna need to tenderize it. So grab out your meat tenderizer and just start wailing on it. Make sure you use the pointy end every now and then. It's gonna like spread those fibers out. It's gonna make it a little wider, which is gonna be good because you need to have surface area to stuff it in a minute. Back to that breadcrumb mixture, add in 2 tablespoons of olive oil, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, stir it on up. Everything should be a little bit wet looking once you've got the olive oil all in there. Now, we seasoned our breadcrumbs. You need to season your steak. A little bit of salt, a little bit of freshly cracked black pepper. I shouldn't even say a little bit, because make sure it's nicely coated with seasoning. Both sides. Do not forget to flip it over and season the other side. I know one side's going to get seared, one side's going to be kind of rolled up on the inside, but you still need to season it. So a nice coating of salt and pepper on both. Okay, so for the messy part, let's get our breadcrumbs and spread those down over one side of our steak. Don't get fancy, you don't need spoons, just use your hands. What I like to do is kind of press it in as I go, kind of helping a little bit of it at least sort of adhere to the steak, because there's a lot of breadcrumbs. My goal is to get most, if not all of it, onto the steak for when we start rolling it up. Is some of it going to spill out when I roll it? Oh yeah, absolutely. But I would still like to get as much as I can on the inside. I can always stuff a little bit back in later if it falls out. Okay, so we're going to give this a little turn. The shortest side is towards me, or towards you, and then we're just going to start rolling. Now the best thing to do that I've found is to kind of push up the breadcrumbs as I am rolling forward. I'm going to try to roll it up as tightly as I can. So I'm kind of pinching and rolling and trying to stuff the breadcrumbs in all at one time. Is it a giant mess? Yes, it's going to be a giant mess. You're just going to have to be okay with it. I'm going to stuff a little bit in as I go, and that's going to be okay. It's not all going to fit. Not a big deal. Now, can I leave it like this? No. It's going to fall apart. It's going to unroll itself. So we're going to have to take some butcher's twine, get it right at the meat market, meat counter, wherever it is you're getting your steak. Just ask them for it, and they'll gladly give you a whole bunch. And we're going to tie up at the very least both ends. Nice and tight. Just tie it like you're tying your shoes. Nice little bow. I've got a little extra. Not a big deal. I'm just going to chop it off. I'd like to have too much string involved instead of not enough and try to be tying some tiny little bow that doesn't work. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing to the back side. Both ends tied up nice and tight. And then we're going to look and see if we need one in the middle. Depends upon how long this steak ends up being. I feel like we're going to. But maybe not. Depends upon what your steak looks like. Alright, so we're going to clip off our ends. And let's take a look. Yeah, this is definitely not as tight as I would like it. So we're going to stick one more here in the middle. Make sure everything stays, in theory, nicely contained within our little steak roll. We're going to put some more of our breadcrumbs back in because I'm definitely lacking here. I want to shove in as much as I can. Because when we sear it, we're going to be searing all sides. We're going to roll it, so some's going to fall out again anyway. So start with as much inside as you can. Cast iron pan, medium-high heat, 2 tablespoons of oil. And we're going to sear all sides for about 2 minutes until it looks a little something like this. We're going to do that on all sides. And again, when I did this the first time, my pan was barely big enough to hold the steak and the sauce that we're going to add to it. This looks gorgeous. You're going to add in 1 cup of dry white wine. I had no idea what dry white wine was at the time. I didn't drink wine. My brother said use Chardonnay, so I did. I am not a Chardonnay fan, So I have switched it to Pinot Grigio over the years, and I'm so happy because I'm a big Pinot fan. So we're going to bring that to a boil, let it reduce a little bit, and then we're going to add in 3 1/4 cups of your favorite marinara sauce. Y'all know I'm a big fan of the Wegmans brand. If you don't have a Wegmans near you, figure out what your favorite marinara sauce is. We're going to add that to our wine and make sure that you stir it all up and get it all combined. Does it have the potential for being a giant mess? Yes. Be a little careful with this because you may slobber all over your stovetop. Definitely potential for that. And don't forget, you need to baste your meat. Make sure your entire steak roll is covered in this gorgeous, winey marinara type sauce. It's just a beautiful thing. I kind of want to eat this right now. Okay, so as I'm sitting here, mentally drooling over this picture, we're going to add in those breadcrumbs we talked about before. Don't get rid of them if you got leftovers. Add them to the sauce. Some reason I didn't get it on camera, but I also added in the breadcrumbs from the cutting board. It's going to thicken up the sauce a little bit. It's going to add some amazing flavor from that garlic and the breadcrumbs and the cheesiness. It is so ridiculously tasty. Make it both ways if you like, but definitely try this one. Now, we need to cover this. Aluminum foil loosely, don't have to get it too tight. And we're going to shove this into a 350-degree oven for 1.5 hours. Every half hour, we're going to turn our steak and we're going to rebaste it. Last half hour should be completely uncovered. You'll get something like this. It's reduced in size a little bit. Our sauce has thickened up. It is a gorgeous, beautiful thing. Notice how all of our, or a lot of our filling is still inside the steak. That's the goal. All right, let's slice this bad boy open. I like to cut it on an angle. Don't worry about taking off the string until you get to them. Not a big deal. It helps it keep its shape. Look at that. Moist, tender, juicy. It is glistening. This is exactly what you want. That is a thing of beauty, and oh my god, you have no idea how tasty it is. You gotta make this as soon as you can. I would give my sauce a little stir, make sure everything is combined. See all that beautiful, gorgeous cheesiness. I got some breadcrumbs in there. And you are good to go. Only thing left to add is your vegetable of choice. We went with a little bit of corn on the cob and butter. Simple, easy, done. Drop us a comment down below. Let us know what's the first thing you ever tried making. How'd it go for you? Keep an eye out for our next video. I think it's going to be something MasterChef inspired. Little recipe that didn't go too well for the chef. We're going to try to play with that a little bit. But thank you to everyone for sticking with us while we've been gone. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't. We'll see you next time.